Hey, Alain Picard here. Welcome back to part 2 of our painting trees video. And in this video, we're going to continue this painting of a tree line by the coast, and we're going to layer and develop in step 6. And then step 7, we're going to refine the painting, adding those choice details and those sparkling lights, as well as doing some edge work as well to refine to finish. All right, are you ready? Let's get to it. All right, let's get back to work with step 6 as we layer and develop this painting. As I step in, I just wanted to say to those of you who may be jumping in here on part 2, if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you're gonna just check down in the show notes. We'll have a link to part 1. You definitely wanna watch that video first because this picks up where that left off. Also, there's a link to a painting trees step-by-step guide for this painting that you can follow along each of these steps with some detail there, so I can walk right alongside you as you work with me on this coastal trees. All right, let's get right into step 6. And one of the things I like to do at times when I've got a scene like this, before I push in and develop, sometimes I like to fuse some of the edges and quiet down some of the changes in color. So I'm gonna do that with this Hake brush. I like to sometimes scrub it a little bit. So I'll just come in here to this dark area and I'll just diffuse some of the energy of the mark making and favor a little bit more of a quiet mass. And lots of very strong color on the initial phases. I actually am going to add a little bit of neutral color. There's a wonderful place in your painting when people tell me, my painting looks like mud. Well, you got to have a little bit of mud in every painting, and then you definitely need those sparkling, exciting areas as well. So that's what I'm going to do here, is create a little bit of mud, diffuse some of these edge transitions, get ready for this next layer of pastel. You can see I can even knock down at the edge of this tree and get some hazy, soft-edged elements that will help us tell the story. Because as we add more marks, we'll certainly add further texture. And even here, I'm just going to break down this kind of strong color change. And I need a little more value in my ocean. I need that ocean to push back and be a little darker. So we're going to get to that as well. But this just diffuses some of that color and lets it fuse together with the surrounding colors, create more of a simple mass. So there's something about the Hake brush that I like. It's not too hard, not too soft. It's a little bit flat, but also has its own sort of roughness to it. There we go. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to go in and work from dark to middle to light. That's my process. And as I do, I'm going to use a little bit more of those mauve-y colors and earthy colors. Let me see if I can get a little warmer right out of the gates here. Yeah, that's good. So I'm squinting my eyes, looking at the value contrast of the painting. Coming up some of these little trunks right in here. The power of suggestion. We want to just suggest these trees with a little bit of information about their anatomy and leave the rest to the viewer to decipher and enjoy in this painterly style. Come back into this area with the rocks, and this is where that fence and stone wall was, and so I'm now reimagining there could be some more rocks actually coming up the bank. So I'm following my understanding of what's happening with value and with texture in the reference, but I'm carrying it further to another area where I'm actually making up the scene. So we just use the knowledge we're given, and then we continue to develop the painting with our own strengthened design decisions, you know, parts that we can actually make the composition more interesting by having that dark value through here. It's a great color, so I'm going to keep that right there. Okay, so from there, let's go in and let's push a little more value at the horizon line for this ocean. So this is a kind of a little bit more neutral blue-gray, ultramarine blue-gray. And I'm just going to pull that horizon down. Let's just grab an edge there. When I am developing a straight line just by making marks, I can just push and pull at it until I get a loose description of a straight line, if that makes any sense. And this blue-gray, I'm just going to continue to utilize it in and around the rocky, craggy coastal area, and I'm pulling right up in here and carving out some more texture at the edge to tell the viewer this is a rocky area. Just take a step back, yeah, and just pull this up. So that's great. I like this color. Not much lighter, but a little bit. Let's give it a shot. This is a violet ultramarine. Here we go. I always try to keep one eye on my thumbnail sketch just to see how my composition is developing alongside of my concept for the painting. We're getting a little closer to that feeling of the values, which is good. Let's just push into the sky again with some more mauve and pink. So this is an area where we're seeing the sky in and through these clusters. It's a wonderful little silhouette of some of these tree shapes. And you always need to be careful what value you use when you create sky holes. You don't want to use a value that's overly light, that's too light, and it pops out and looks really artificially bright inside of the darker value mass of the tree. So this is nice. It's not too light, not too dark. And as you can see, I'm building up more of that irregularity and texture that says to the viewer, this is foliage. However, I am decidedly averse to painting leaf by leaf. So I'm just doing these large suggestions. Here we can take and just kind of make a nice big mark. And I'm kind of switching between warm colors and cool colors and blue colors and mauve colors. So that's great. We'll take a step back for a second, scope out. See the impression of what that work has done. There we go. So a nice reddish umber. A little darker in value, so we're using value to emphasize shape. So the cluster of tree, if it's a little darker than the sky, that it's in front of, it's going to pop out and really carry with a nice strong shape. So this is great. And as you can see, the warmer color at the edge is kind of communicating radiance and foliage, maybe even a fall foliage. And this middle dark in between the darker values and those midtones that are more colorful is giving us some volume. It's telling the viewer that there's volume here. And as you can see, I'm varying my stroke direction and size. Sometimes I'll use that tip and just do a little squiggle, and then I'll flip a little side stroke over it. So that variety of mark making is giving us this nice, I want it to break out of there for a moment, and I'll probably pull some of that back in, but I just put the sky inside the tree. How nice is that? Not so nice then. There we go. Okay. Now, just use a little bit of this color down in the lower part of the painting. Already a little stronger than it was. I'm going to use a hard pastel to carve in and add a little small detail. And this is really what I like about the new pastels, is that I can get in there and I can just tell the story of the branch or tree trunk here. It doesn't take much. You know, you add a little bit of these small lines. And we begin to understand this tree is hovering, hanging out right at the edge of the coast. I'm actually going to use this nice, bigger, soft pastel to make this mark so it's a little more efficient. I've got enough pigment on this surface already that hard pastel was fighting. That's it. Now we're starting to feel that sense of a tree there. Perhaps another one. Let this one be a little softer edge, not quite as important, right? We don't want any supportive actors trying to steal the show. We don't like them. We want everything to support the story that we're telling. Great. Okay, now let's add a little, you know, I wanted to get a deeper mauve into this area of the sky, just a little bit down at the horizon. Dusk is an unusual time of day where you get this hazy look at the horizon and then some of the really beautiful colors up higher in the sky. It's like the moment after the sun has dropped down below the horizon. Beautiful, beautiful color. So I'm going to squint my eyes, do a little bit of edge work, pop a little sky hole in. Notice this mauve is even darker than the pink. So as I go up higher into some of these areas and I make a little mark, it sits nicely. It doesn't try to become too loud. I can sneak one in over here. A little hole in the foliage there. Maybe one there. And perhaps we see one here. So we're kind of opening up a couple of spots there, creating some really nice accenting. All right, let's leave that right there. And just go a step up into the sky again. What I'll probably do in this area is lay at that final stage, lay some sparkling accent color right over this. Even a couple of marks will go a long way. But this will help me get that gradation of value and color. See, a little, if I just break up that edge a bit, it will look foliage-like, foliage-esque. It'll look like leaves. Okay, one thing I want to do is just take my pinky and kind of fuse together here and there the sky and the sea, just so that it's not a hard edge. You know, this is late in the day, everything's kind of quietly connecting. Just going to clean that up a little after I blended it. This is that nice neutral fleshy color. How about, you know, that little bit of yellow coming through? Just a little band of that yellow. So I put a little down and I touched it with my pinky to diffuse it, and then I'm putting a little more down. Okay, these last couple stages can be where a lot of time is consumed. So I'm going to continue to do some layering right now, and we'll just follow along, maybe speed paint with me, and then I'll take you to the final step of refining after that. Here we go. All right, we're at the final stage of the painting, the refining stage. We're looking for just that last bit of refinement on our shapes, on our sculptural mark making. We're not trying to add lots of little tiny details, maybe just a couple of little signature moments like the tree trunk, but we do want to see those color accents and the color harmony. We're just looking at edges. So that's what I'm going to jump into now. So here we go. Okay, so I've got some nice color over here. I could use some sparkle. I'm going to start using some more chromatic little sparkly colors here and there in the tree. So you can see it's almost like, you know, they get grabbed by the light with little radiant sparkles. And that's a lot of fun. This needs to be just a little bit darker if I want to use it in some other areas. And we'll go right in there with a nice, strong red. There we go. See, a little richer. So when we add these color accents, we can't violate the value shapes. We still need to keep those colors dark enough inside the darker shapes. However, when we get a little color in there, it does create some volume. Right over here, we can add a little panache in with the orange and make that area start to glow a bit. Perhaps we want to, maybe we want to just put a little glow right on the edge of the trunk, like there's a little warm light on it. Maybe just a little here and there. On those trunks. So maybe a little bit of orange right in here. Oh boy. Just one up there. Now, maybe there's some on the grass here in the foreground. I don't want it to be quite as strong there, but I like the idea that it can lead me up. In the finishing stage, you're always keeping one eye on the scene, the whole scene and how it's working. I'm just going to grab that dark new pastel and make sure that I like the basic shape of my rocks. Maybe I need a couple more little rocks here and there. So I'm adding quote unquote detail here, but it's going to be pretty much just little small contrasty marks. So important to look at your painting a lot at the late stage. Let's see if I can find a place for a light pink sparkle. I don't know if it's too light. Let's give it a shot. Right in between that mauve and yellow, we can liven up the sky. Maybe come right in towards the edge of the foliage. And those little crackles of soft pastel really add a feeling of painterly impressionism. That looks nice. Maybe we can get away with it just in there. Not at, kind of just in the center. Yeah, not bad. All right, I'm looking for a peachy orange that I can use at the edge. Sort of right between the mid-tone of the trees and the light of the sky. Right in between that. Look at that little transition of value, but a lot of sparkle that we have there. Nice little accenting. And perhaps there's another little moment here toward our special tree, maybe just down here. Actually, I'm going to try this one, a little bit redder. I'm going to go back to my pink from the beginning. This was utilized quite a lot in the underpainting, but I'm going to bring it back, bring it right on top. This dreamy pink color. I'm going to sneak it in. I need to break this up a little bit without it being too light, so I'm going to try this pink, just a bit here and there. A dark blue. There's a little bit of dark blue. Maybe just a nice mark like that, letting us know those rocks are wet. I'm just going to add a few more of these finishing marks to the painting, moving my way through some of this area. So you can watch along with me. Well, as you can see, we've harnessed the power of suggestion in this painting trees demonstration, really using those sparkly colors, sculptural marks, and that edge between the tree and the skyline, those little tiny details in the trunks to tell the story for us without adding in all the little minutiae. So I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. I certainly had a blast painting it with you. If you haven't yet, make sure to download the link for the Painting Trees step-by-step guide in the show notes below so I can follow along with you and you can create your own beautiful sculptural tree painting. Well, if you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe as well so we can continue to bring you more wonderful instructional art content on this channel. And I'd love to hear your comments. So leave those comments below. Let's keep that conversation going. It's been so much fun sharing creativity with you in this session, and I will see you in the next video.